Hi everyone, and welcome back to Musical Mondays on Worth Your Time with William, your place to escape into the world of movies and musicals. Today I'm joined by Emma Caffrey, actress in the musical 42nd Street. One of my favourite musicals, love it, so good. So I saw it in 2017 and I had such a visceral, emotional response to this show, so I'm thrilled to have Emma here today to discuss. Also, Emma stars in the 2019 film Cats, so I am ready to ask her some questions regarding that and that specific scene in particular. Just a heads up, there are video chapters in the description below if you want to skip to specific moments in this video. So let's jump right in. Hi Emma, how are you?
Hello William, I'm good, thank you, and you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So in 2017, you were cast as Anytime Annie for the West End revival of 42nd Street. What was it like to be part of such an iconic show?
Oh, I mean, I don't think any of us were really ready for what it was going to be like. You know, normally you do a show and it's maybe a cast of 20, maybe a cast of 30, and I think we all just turned up to the first day of rehearsal and we rehearsed in this random little warehouse in Earlsfield because we wouldn't have fit in a studio at Pineapple or Dance Attic, and we all kind of rocked up and we were just... to see everyone standing in a, first day meet and greet, really awkward, stand in a circle and say who you are and what you do. And it was just like never ending. It just seemed to go on and on and on. It was magical. It was unlike anything I've ever known.
There is something so awe-inspiring when you see that many dancers tap into the same rhythm with the music and the costume. There's something like indescribable about it. I actually watched it last night on Broadway HD, and I just had such an emotional experience to it. I love it. It was so good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt that kind of emotional, like, it kind of hits you, doesn't it? I think, there's certain numbers, things like Dames, when the girls just come out and out and out, and it's like there's just so many of them. And then, the finale when everyone's coming up and over the stairs, it does hit you. I remember as soon as I got a day off from the show, I booked a ticket and went and watched it, and I just burst into tears when they came up and over the stairs. Like, you can feel it. It feels like the stampede in The Lion King when you can hear it coming and you're like, oh my god, it's happening. It was just incredible.
Mad. There's a moment at the end of Dames when it goes silent for just a moment, and you kind of just catch your breath, like you can't quite believe it. You're like, amazing.
Yeah.
Now there are many amazing dance sequences in the show. Go Into Your Dance and We're in the Money, two of my favourites. What was your favourite to do, and what was the hardest to do?
Go Into Your Dance was my favourite. I think just something about that call and response and that putting Peggy through her paces, which is hilarious because obviously Claire House is just so uber talented. But anyone who played that role, they have that fire in them to show, very true to life. And when you're in an audition and you have that in you of just, this is the minute, like I have to do it now. So there was a lot of that. I think hardest for me, maybe a little bit Go Into Your Dance, just for the pressure of, we started off with no music and Annie starts to tap, and it was my job to set the tempo for the band, and it was my job to, that awful moment of, if I miss a beat here, and I'm meant to be, she thinks she's so good, and if you miss a beat with no music and nothing else, it's terrifying.
Now, every time I've seen it, I saw it about 5 or 6 times on stage. It is flawless. There's not one moment where you see something out of step or out of line. But was there any kind of like awkward moments or moments where you messed up and afterwards you're like, oh my gosh?
There was one night where I was on holiday and trying to get that many people to get their holidays and to not clash with your cover going off or anything like that was a nightmare. So it was kind of like a running joke that every time I asked for a holiday, I couldn't get a holiday. So it took me a long time to get some time off. And then as soon as I went off, there was the first night where the stairs broke. And they were starting to come up and over, and the stairs just didn't concertina out. So obviously stage management are screaming at them, because if they'd have stepped off, it's pitch black up there. You know, anytime I swung on for that first line that could come up and over, it is just that hope that when you put your foot down, there's something there and not a 6-foot drop. Well, higher, probably like a 12-foot drop. You know, so they were screaming at them to stop. And then there was kind of, from what I gather, you know, sickening that I wasn't there for the one night of drama, because it was so slick, it ran so smoothly, it was so rare that we had any issues. But this one night the stairs didn't go out, and so they all kind of ran off and ended up just knowing what to do, and they came on line by line and did all the routine just on the flat floor. And one of the cast had friends in, and they were like, we didn't know that wasn't what was meant to be. You know, that wasn't, everyone just pulls their weight, plays their part.
Interesting.
Particularly 42nd Street, there was a big thing of, we would all say, you know, the ensemble are the lead role. They are, without a shadow of a doubt, like you say, they have to be so slick, so smooth. The storyline depends on their need for that job and their need to keep the show up and running. So yeah, I'd love to have more drama for you, but there was very little.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for you, right? Well, it's interesting you say that, because I actually saw it kind of on a whim. I presume you know Kirsty, who was in the show?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, she trained at I used to work in NGM. I was a social media coordinator, and basically I found out about, not just about the show from her, but I knew that she was in the show, so I went to see it. And obviously I was at the back, and I paid like £15, and normally that would be a bit like, oh, I'm at the back, you know. A show can live or die where you sit, in my opinion. Sometimes if you're at the back, kind of, you don't have as good of experience. But I paid, and, you know, I went, and I had such an amazing time. You know, just because the dance ensemble is the USP, I would argue. The whole ensemble is brilliant. So you had many VIP guests visit the show and watch the show, from Elton John to Catherine Zeta-Jones. Do you have any stand-up moments from any celebrities you met?
I mean, all of them were so lovely and so sweet, and, you know, again, they would often come back and just say how overwhelmed they felt from watching the show. And so, you know, to meet them and to, you know, to feel the way we probably feel about them, that they feel like that our show is really special. Catherine Zeta-Jones was incredible, because obviously her connection to the show, and, you know, she sent a beautiful bouquet of flowers to Claire House the next day, which I think is really classy and really lovely. Elton John was just Joe on the floor. You know, obviously very good friends with our wonderful Lulu, and she took a few of us to meet him, because he's actually quite shy, so he was a little overwhelmed for a cast of 1,000, but a few of us got to go and meet him in the royal box, and it was, I'm not normally lost for words. I'm from Newcastle, you know, it doesn't normally happen, but I was just a bit like, oh my god, it's Elton John. You know, and even then within our cast, you know, Lulu, oh my goodness, you know, and to work with her and to, you know, to become friends with her. And Sheena, like, For Your Eyes Only used to be one of my favourite songs even as a kid, you know, and just to be there like, you sang a Bond theme tune and you're Sheena Easton, like, and she was brilliant. She was so funny, so dry, and a little bit of a potty mouth as well. So she was just incredible to work with. We were really lucky that just everyone in the cast, you know, and then Bonnie Langford, you know, to top it all off, and they were just all fantastic to work with, you know, really lovely. We had a lovely, for such a big show, it could have been really chaotic. But everyone just did what they had to do, and everyone was really, really brilliant to work with.
Amazing. Yeah, Sheena Easton, oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
When it was announced, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Her voice just sends me, it just takes me to a different place. I love it. So just to round off the 42nd Street discussion, I want to do some really quick fire Q&As, okay? Right, number 1, friendliest cast member?
Claire House. Biggest
diva?
Sheena Easton. but in a lovely way. But just she embodies a diva, not in a bad way, in like a fabulous way.
Totally. Diva's not a bad thing. Okay, fastest quick change.
Oh, I think We're in the Money. I think it might have been us ragamuffins getting into our, because we also then did actual We're in the Money in our gold bikinis, but it could have been the quick change backstage from the policeman in the 42nd Street Ballet going onto the stairs. That could be slightly quicker.
Sure. Worst number and why?
Worst number. Oh, that's really hard. I loved and hated Shuffle Off to Buffalo. I know it's iconic, but doing that kind of character is so not me. It did grow on me, but at first I was like, oh God.
Yeah. Okay, best number and why?
Go On Your Dance, because it was my favourite.
Sure. Favourite costume?
My dame's dress. Those beautiful hand-beaded, gorgeous dresses that just, you felt like you wore them for a millisecond and no one ever got to get a picture in them because it was a quick change, but they were stunning. Okay.
Most uncomfortable costume?
The gold bikinis, feeling the need to breathe in the whole time.
Now, Emma, we need to talk about your role in the 2019 filmed version of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats, where you played a tap-dancing cockroach in the Gumby Cat number with Rebel Wilson. Now, we'll get into that scene specifically in a moment, but can you talk me through the filming process, and did you have any preconceived ideas of what the film was going to be?
Yeah, it was a really funny one because I think, you know, we knew it would be somewhat CGI'd, but I had no idea what that was going to be. And I'd auditioned for one of the cats in the McCavity number with Taylor Swift. And my feedback had been, you're too tall. We loved you, but you're too tall. That's fine. No worries. So then I got another phone call off my agent saying they really liked you and they want to see you again for another bit. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then I got the breakdown and it was tap dancing cockroach. And I was like, of course. And for all of my friends, it was kind of hilarious. Like, of course, you get your big break in a movie musical and it's a cockroach. So, you know, we'd done the audition for it and it was a very glamorous showgirl cockroach. So I was on board. You know, and we got to rehearsals and we were the penultimate scene to be shot. So we were there for the whole week. And we only ended up filming on the last day. And it was very much, we need to get this done because we wrap in about 5-6 hours. And it was all done in these morph suits with these little computer things on them. And you would get into your morph suit and you would walk and walk and walk while they calibrated you to the camera. So they knew, you know, that point is Emma's shoulder, that point is Emma's other shoulder, you know, da-da-da. And, you know, we'd had to, for the CGI, we'd had to get photographed in just bras and pants, standing still by, I think, thousands of cameras just all around us, covering every part of our body, doing various different moves and facial expressions. So I really felt like I was part of like this like incredible process that I'd never even twigged, you know, how to do that. And then we had dots painted on our face so that we could get CGI'd on our face. And the woman that was doing mine was talking about how she'd done the dots on Ryan Reynolds' face for the Pikachu film. So technically, I'm kind of dating Ryan Reynolds in my head.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really cool experience. And it was long days, you know, you would sit in those suits, you'd get ready, and you'd sit, and you'd sit, and you'd sit, and then they'd be like, okay guys, it's time to go home, and you hadn't done anything, and then the next day it was like, go, 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 you know. I think that's just filming. It's tough, it's grueling.
When you say it was 5 hours before the end of the shoot, do you mean the entire shoot? You were literally the last people to be filmed?
Yeah, I think there was
Or just in general?
There was like one scene after us, which was the cat being thrown out the car in the bag, and other than that, we were the last scene to be shot. Yeah, it was just so... I think they'd already gone over on their filming by a couple of months, I think. So it was very much, this needs to be done. But you know, there was only 8 of us, contrary to what you see on the film. There was 8 of us, and so we all just really knuckled down and got it done. And it was the time really came from, you know, this is the choreography for the cockroaches that are on the plate. This is the choreography for the cockroaches that are on this tier of the cake. So we would film something 4 or 5 times, and then we'd film the other cockroaches do their bit of choreography for that same bit of music 4 or 5 times. And then the director, Tom Hooper, would kind of say, you know, I'm not so fussed on that. Can we adapt that a little bit, or can we do this a little bit, and let's change camera angles, and you know. But every so often,
so you got to meet Tom. You got to meet Tom Hooper.
Yeah. Which was incredible.
What was he like?
It was incredible. I mean, it was quite tough because Andy Blankenbuehler had to fly home, so he wasn't there he was there for our audition, but he wasn't there while we were filming. And his incredible assistant choreographer Ida was helping us do it, but then she had to fly home. So actually on the Saturday when we met Tom, it was quite high pressured and with no kind of dance buffer, as it were. So he would kind of be like, well, what's next? And we were all a bit like, do you want to tell him? Or because, you know, you can't help but be like, goodness, this man like is like a god, you know. So it had gotten to the point where, you know, I'm a little bit gobby, and so I'd kind of said, well, we have this and we have that. So there was a couple of times where he'd kind of say, oh, you gobby one, what's next, kind of thing. So just kind of a case of going, well, this needs to get done, and everyone wants to be very polite and everyone wants to be very well behaved, and that can sometimes lead to not the most effective workroom when time's not on your side, kind of thing. So it was, you know, there like every so often someone else would pipe up and say, I think we should do it like this, or I think we should do it like that. So it was quite cool to be able to work with him rather than just kind of like, it wasn't like a yelling orders thing. But we did have little in-ears. You know, we all had our little Mariah moment when we got fitted for them, and every so often he would kind of say an instruction while you were dancing into the in-ears. And at one point he'd said, you know, you guys, as much as you're meant to be glamorous cockroaches, there's cats all around you, so you need to be aware that they could eat you if you're not entertaining enough. So we had to kind of always have this feeling of, oh, like gun to your head. And at one point he was like, if I shout the word cat, can you pretend that, like, you know, because we were on a green screen, can you pretend that cross over there is a cat coming for you, and can you all flinch? And he was going, cat, cat, cat. And we were all doing it. And like, then he was like, why has everyone stopped filming? And they all thought he was shouting cut. So everyone had stopped filming and stopped what they were doing, and we were all flinching and no one knew what was going on. And he was like, no, I'm saying cat. And it was all just, you know.
It sounds like chaos. Yeah. It sounds like absolute madness.
Yeah. But very cool, very, very cool.
But very cool, yeah. Exactly.
And bizarre, very bizarre.
Talking of bizarre, so the trailer comes out in the summer of 2019, and the world goes into a tailspin over the overwhelming visuals and the kind of strange character design. I myself thought the trailer looked great. I was ready, I was so excited, and you know, I love Tom Hooper. I think Les Mis is a brilliant film. What was going through your mind when you saw the response?
To be honest, a lot of friends of mine had done it from day one, and that was months of filming and months of wearing those suits. And, you know, I think a lot of them had realised very early on, if you need to go to the toilet and you're in that suit, it's not a case of nip to the toilet and nip back while they're changing camera angles. It's a case of, that's 25 minutes of you getting out of it, going to a toilet, coming back, getting recalibrated with the computer. And that's a lot of money in studio time. And so, you know, a lot of them had ended up feeling ill because they were trying not to go to the toilet. And I think quite early on there was a change in choreographers, and, you know, there was bits and bobs happening. So I think it had been quite high stress levels in the film, and they had all worked relentlessly hard. It had been very physically demanding. Tom likes you to sing and dance at the same time and do one take or every time. You know, it's not pick up this bit, let's just go from that count of choreography. You do the whole dance every time you do it, and you sing alongside every time you do it. So they'd worked so hard on it. And I think as a creative, to feel like you've done everything you can, and then the world, it to feel like the whole world was going, that looks horrendous, you know, that looks terrible. I really felt, you know, I was a tiny part of it, and, you know, I was going to be cockroach number 3 on a very long list of names. But I really felt for the other people that had been involved from day one, that had worked their socks off the whole time. Because it kind of felt disrespectful, and I think particularly from others in our industry. I think, you know, for Joe Bloggs, who doesn't really know what goes into that, you can expect a little bit of cattiness, pardon the pun. But for others in our industry who, you know, I don't think it was any secret the hours they'd done. You know, it was kind of get picked up at 5, get dropped off at 12 for months, you know. And I think for them, I just really felt for them that from a creative standpoint, they had no power over how the end product looked. And I think it could have done with a little more support than it got.
Support from the public or support from the studio, or
I think support from the industry and support from the public. But like I say, like I more understand it from a point of view of people that aren't in the industry and don't really have a concept of just how much goes into it. But I think, you know, to kind of quote Winnie the Pooh, if you know, no, Thumper, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. That kind of, you know, particularly on social media. I know we know this be kind thing, and I think it's easy to hide behind a keyboard and be like, haha, you know, whatever. I think we could all just do with being a little more careful, because you are going to see it. You know, I know even with the best will in the world, like my brother would send me newspaper articles being like, oh God, Cats is getting slammed. And I'd be like, thanks, helpful, you know. And people do it, and they don't mean always to be unkind, but if you're involved with something and it gets praise or slander, you're going to know about it. So I think, you know, unless your job is to critique it, you can always just kind of say to your housemate, God, this looks terrible, and then keep it to yourself.
It's true, and it's all very well and good being like, oh, this is terrible, but actually people have put their heart and their soul and their passion into it. Yeah, so I agree, and it there's never been a film like Cats, and I don't think there will ever be a film like
Cats. Yes, I mean, say what you will, but it made people talk, I think.
Exactly. What was your, just to round off the Cats discussion, what was your reaction when you watched it, when you watched your scene with Rebel Wilson? What was going through your mind?
I think I was just very proud to be a part of something that big, you know, and I was proud to have stood in a room with Tom and to, you know, do something that I'd never done before. And, you know, for me, it was a case of going, oh, there's Ella. Oh, there's Beth. You know, like, it was like regardless of whether you know, I'd have been happy to see Cats redone just in the costume and makeup that we already know and love it. You know, it is what it is. And I think to Joe Bloggs, it is very bizarre, you know, talking cats dressed up. Are they human? Are they sexualized? Are they not? You know, all those questions that everybody had. Why is Dame Judy dressed as a cat wearing a skinned cat? All bizarre. But, you know, you kind of go, it's musical theatre. You suspend your disbelief and you look at it whichever way. So, you know, I wasn't there. I'm not being paid a lot of money to say whether I thought it was groundbreaking or disastrous. You know, for me, I just kind of thought, it's Cats. When has Cats not been a little bit bizarre? You know, and to me, I was just kind of watching incredibly talented performers, be they friends or people that I've never met. And, you know, to me, I think it was just an abundance of talent.
Totally. Well, thank you so much. I want to do something just to finish off the interview, just something a little bit fun, just to kind of spark your mind or kind of make you think. So I want to play Would You Rather Musical Edition. So I'm going to ask you a selection of questions, and basically you need to give me the either or answer, okay? Understood?
Yes.
Cool, okay. Would you rather spend Christmas Day with Sweeney Todd or the Phantom?
The Phantom. Imagine my voice when I came out. Those tones.
He would train you. It'd be scary, but he'd bring something out of you, which would be great. Would you rather spend a year looking after the Von Trapps from The Sound of Music or 6 months being Glinda the Good Witch's BFF?
Oh, Glinda. Fabulous. The Von Trapp kids could be a bit whingy, whereas Glinda was always... At least you'd be invited to all the best parties.
So lastly, would you rather only be able to listen to the soundtrack of Cats for the rest of your life or the soundtrack of 42nd Street?
42nd Street.
100%.
Yeah.
That was easy.
I often teach as well, so I'll teach 42nd Street a lot. I teach that more than I teach Cats, so...
Where can people find you on social media?
Social media, I am Emma13Marie on Instagram and on Twitter. And also my crafts page is Crafts by Caffrey on Instagram. There's a couple of stagey bits, a couple of Christmassy bits, all different sorts of things.
Thank you so much again.
Pleasure, thank you for having me.
So have you seen 42nd Street or Cats? Let me know in the comment section down below. So you're watching Worth Your Time with William. This is a channel where we talk everything movies and musicals. So if you like what you see and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.